I want to take this time to welcome you to the Tools for Overcoming Workplace Challenges. I am Veranda Rodgers, the founder and executive director of Pregnant with Possibilities Resource Center, as well as the nonprofit Dynamite Consultant Agency. So I am excited to be able to lead and host this conversation. And so without further ado, what I want to do is have everyone take about 2 minutes to introduce yourself, tell me who you are, what you do, and one quote that has helped you overcome challenges. We'll actually start with Meena first.
Good morning. My name is Meena Westford, and I currently am a special projects manager for the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, based out of California. I live in San Diego. My headquarters, however, is in Los Angeles, and we're the largest water provider in the nation, largest public utility. And so what I do is I communicate within the San Diego region. I work on binational affairs with the country of Mexico, and also I am our interface with our Native American tribes. A quote that I think inspires me is sometimes in my day-to-day job, it's a little political. So I always think about Michelle Obama, and I think the time right now, it's a good time to keep it in the back of your mind is when they go low, you stay high, something along those lines. So don't let people take you down. And so that's kind of my message. And when they want to get down in the gutter, you just stay high and stay positive and keep facing your north and keep your moral compass with you. So that would be my quote that inspires me when things get a little tough.
Hi, this is Denise Pouleurs. I am an environmental engineer, and almost all my professional career I have been working in water treatment site. So I am located in Santiago, Chile, South America. And currently, I work for a company called Xylem. And at Xylem, we take care of all the water issues related with transport, treatment, and so on. So I also start be concerned about how women can progress in their career. And one of the quotes that I always come from my mind like a flag is "Make things happen." Give me the motor, the energy to go forward and to go further.
Hi, my name is L'Tryce Slade. I'm the owner of Slade. We are a licensed general contracting firm, and under that umbrella, we perform environmental services, geotechnical services, construction material testing, and urban planning. I'm the only African-American female that owns a construction material testing laboratory. I'm very proud of that. We've been in business since 2006. I am very happy to be a part of this. My favorite quote is something I actually made up: breaking glass ceilings so that those who come behind you will have an easier time to achieve their dreams and goals.
Thank you, ladies, for giving your bio in a short version. I didn't say where I was from, but I do want to say that I actually reside on the outskirts of Cleveland, Ohio. Most people know where Cleveland is. And so I am absolutely excited to have you guys here to kind of moderate and lead the conversation. So my first thing is, can you, I'm going to start with Denise, give me a time or a situation that was most challenging, and what did you do and how did you overcome?
Most challenging. I think the most challenging thing to me is to pass through unconscious bias, because unconscious bias is pretty much in our idiosyncrasy, in our culture as a Latin American country. So to me, it was harder to be a female engineer going to visit customer and so on. So how to pass through this challenge to me was discover myself that unconscious bias in my brain first, and working to take them out of my brain, and then always work with persistence and perseverance. That those unconscious bias doesn't any work with me, it's the society, but I want to go further.
And so with that, unconscious bias, typically sometimes it's a male-dominated field. How do you navigate the ropes of standing your ground, still showing up, submitting the proposal, and what have you done to navigate that?
Yes. So I wanted to clarify. So it is a construction material testing laboratory where we test concrete, grout, mortar, asphalt, and I'm basically the dirt lady. And so when I started in the business, it was just me. And so all the different things that we actually provide services in are things that I know how to do. And so I had to get the work experience on the site, get the certifications and licenses, and then I trained the personnel. So one of the things that my personnel respect about me is that they know that I can also be the other guy out there in the field with them. I'm the one who has trained them on how to provide quality service. Just like when you go to McDonald's, you know how your cheeseburger is going to taste, your fries are going to taste. That's one of the things I've been trying to perfect at Slade. It doesn't matter what technician or engineer I send out there, you're going to get the same quality of service. And so I think that by showing people that I know the craft that I'm selling, people respect that. I will say it is not easy to be able to obtain all of the different teaming opportunities that I would like to be a part of. I have different designations such as female business enterprise, disadvantaged business enterprise, and that helps. But I would love for people to want me to be on their team just because I provide great service and not because I'm a female business owner or a minority business owner or disadvantaged business owner. So with that said, I think that these are still daily challenges. And one of the things that I notice is that if the people who are in power don't really see the glass ceiling because it's not their glass ceiling. And so since I'm bumping it every day, I feel it more. And so I would like for people to have a change of heart, to be able to open up more opportunities and judge people on the quality of their work.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to ask now is think about a time when you realized your own worth, and this is going to be for the whole panel across the board. What ignited the realization within yourself? And then share a story about that. Like, what got you to that point to be like, okay, I'm more than this. I am more than this situation, and I can overcome because.
It's interesting that you asked me that question because every day I feel like I'm jumping off a bridge. And I say that because every day is different. It has different challenges. With being a business owner, I'm responsible for people's paychecks every 2 weeks, and 2 weeks comes around very quickly, believe it or not. And so one of the things that I've had to learn is perseverance. I've had to learn to be very strategic in business development and knowing where to put the money when I get money. That's one of the things that I'm really proud of. But I feel that what has been an obstacle for me is I started my business on unemployment. I don't have any investors. I'm a 100% owner. And so that definitely is a challenge. My firm is a small business. And so I rely on people. I'm only as good as my team. And so with that said, I have had to learn how to create the team that I want, but it doesn't mean that I haven't had struggles with maybe team members that were not the best team members for my firm. And that could be challenging as a woman in business because I have a heart for people. And so maybe I haven't fired people as quickly as I should. And so it's been lessons learned for me. How do you become a CEO is not something that just happens overnight.
Workplace challenges. I work in a predominantly male environment. It's predominantly Caucasian. It's a very technical. We're made up of engineers, lots of PhDs, Ivy League schools. So there's always this questioning, and I've been in my career for now going on 30 years, but there's always this question if I'm good enough. So I think Denise said that earlier, is like, first you have to find the value in yourself and then have a technical base. It was one thing to be the only woman in the room. I'm still often the only woman in the room. I'm not an engineer, I'm an economist, but always, I feel like every time, back to L'Tryce's point, is like every time I'm in a meeting, I feel like I have to prove myself. And even after 30 years and the success that I have, I still have to be, I still feel like I have to make sure I show up, I'm working hard, I'm persevering. I have to do more than what everybody else is doing. And what Denise said about your unconscious biases, we have them in ourselves, but also we have to check everybody else's biases. When I walk in the room, even though I'm 50, they're like, oh, you're young thing. And I'm like, I'm not so young. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. I have a master's degree, but I shouldn't have to feel that way. My work should speak for itself. So I think the first thing is always to believe in yourself. And that will project, you know, nothing takes the place of working hard and showing up, working hard and putting in the work. I appreciate L'Tryce knowing every piece of her business, because I think that's really important. Stay open-minded and continue to check your assumptions. I think that's important. And I also think it's good to stay positive, even when it's tough. You know, I'm half Thai, so I tend to smile a lot, and I think people misread that and they underestimate that. And for me, I kind of use it to my advantage. I admit that. When I don't know something, I ask questions. But I'm forceful, and I think, but staying positive while I'm doing that, while I'm working, I think is important. I think you have to be your own cheerleader. If you make mistakes, I've made plenty of mistakes in my career. You have to own them, learn from them, you know, and I don't think you can walk away from them. I also think I think nothing can replace the willingness to take on new assignments and stretching yourself all the time. You can't just rest. And I know that's different than L'Tryce because she's on the grind every single day. But in my business, it's the constant trying to climb and constantly trying to bring people along with you, good people that some of us may not recognize, and understanding their value to your organization and breaking some of those preconceived biases that people have. I think that's important. I think it's really important when you work in a male-dominated field. So show up, work hard, and continue to grow yourself. And I think that will go a long way.
I agree with all the ideas from my colleagues. So I think the key things, at least to me, was know yourself. So your personal story brings you to who you are at the present. In my personal case, my previous years, I was like in automatic pilot mode, you know, work. But at some point, you start questioning yourself. And for me, that moment was when I took a new position, believing that I was not good enough. So I hired a personal coach and also start looking for a workshop focusing my personal competence. But that process became a personal journey. So I start rediscovering my attributes, my strengths, my weakness, what people value from me. And that was an aha moment that, wow, I am a diamond. And you need to believe that you are a diamond. So, okay, I am a diamond. What is next? So the next step is dare to shine. But for what? Here comes your personal purpose. Your personal purpose makes you shine, because everything comes like in a flow, like come together. To me, it's like a universal energy. I don't know how to explain that. So to me today, my personal purpose is work in water treatment, but also to inspire other people, young people, also to take care of water issues, especially in my region.
From what I heard each and every one of you guys say, and so you actually gave us 9 attributes on how to essentially realize your worth, especially as a woman in the field that sometimes may be male dominant. Sometimes we question ourselves. We know we always have to be on and we have to give our best. I heard even Meena say we have to be better. And so for the audience, I'm going to recap, but I'm going to add one thing, which is going to make it 10 things that you should do. So know who you are, invest in yourself, build a good team, believe in yourself, stay open-minded, stay positive, be your own cheerleader, own mistakes and learn from them, stretch yourself. And then number 10 that I'm actually going to add is self-care. Because at the end of the day, self-care is not selfish. And if you don't love yourself, then you can't be any good to the people around you or to the team. And so as we give and pour out so much of who we are and what we're doing in our line of work as the CEO, as the leader, as the team lead, whatever role that we function in, is very important that we own that. And I always say, know who you are and charge tax. And so when you know who you are, then you can walk in the room confidently with your head held high, and nothing can actually make you deviate from the things that are sometimes challenging. You just kind of regroup and keep going. So with that, what I'm going to ask you guys to do is kind of give us some tools and resources that you have used that the audience could benefit from.
To me, one of the key things is here in Chile, I joined a professional women association, and there we have a peer coaching circle once per month. So it's very interesting that in one circle come women from different business, and there you get your team supports you and you support that team, because it's open your mind, talking from one problem, and you get different perspective. So you can face different challenge in different ways as well. So to me, it's very important to share your worries, to challenges, because other people can help you to look different, to think different. Sorry.
I definitely think seeking out mentors and people that you have an admiration for, or that you've seen do something that you would like to aspire to. And I don't think it always has to be women. I actually think some of my best mentors have actually been men, but I've had to approach them and really start a conversation and a dialogue and ask them for help. I think, unfortunately, in my early career, it was mostly men. And so those were the people that I had to look to. I think as I further my career, I want to be the mentor for other people. And I learn a lot from millennials. We give them a bad rap, but I have to tell you, when we've gone to this online Zoom thing, like, the millennials got this down. And so I think, looking up and down. Also in my field, it's very interdisciplinary. So when there's something I don't know about biology, I kind of hook up with biologists and try to understand what they're thinking so that I can do my job a little bit better. I think it's also really helpful. I read a lot. For a while, I only read, work journals, and I feel like I got a little boring, both in my personal life and my work life, because all I did was talk about work. And I think having a child kind of expanded that role a little bit, and counting on other mothers as part of my tribe was really helpful. Understanding the balances that we have and some of the challenges that they've overcome was really helpful to me as well. So I think I also keep a journal. Every morning I try to write a little bit of a gratitude journal and a work journal, so that I can kind of flip back a little bit and understand where I was at. Perhaps I was just having a bad day and wasn't looking at the picture the right way. And I think that's been really helpful. Definitely try to find a group of professionals, both women and men, and I think generational as well, because I think all the history and the look forward is really important, so that you don't become stale in your positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, I actually was a part of a mastermind group this past year. And that had a tremendous impact on my business. I really wasn't sure if it was going to be worth the investment, and it was worth the investment. It was a group of 3 ladies and 1 mentor. And the things that I learned from the other ladies in business, as well as the mentor, actually helped me deal with challenges I was having in my business. And also referred me to different books such as Traction and the 12-Week Year. I think that those are 2 books I would definitely recommend to people to, look to and learn as much as they can, especially if they're operating a business. I'm a member of several organizations such as NAWIC, which is the National Association of Women in Construction, CREW, which is an organization for women in real estate, the chamber in my city. So these are just a few things that I'm a member of, but I strategically joined those different groups, 1 for, I guess, networking, but 2, also to stop and pause to be able to build relationships with other people in the business community. I think it's really important as a business person not to isolate yourself, because I do work long hours, and you can tend to just focus too much on, the project you're working on and getting the next project and not come up for air. So I think that trying to achieve work-life balance, I think it has to be intentional. You can't just say that you want to do that. You have to set up a plan. Even trying to eat healthy and exercise most days is a challenge, but I plan for that. And so it's very intentional. And so I want to encourage people to create a calendar that you can stick with and just try to improve yourself every day.
Thank you. So that goes back to, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And so what I heard that are takeaways is mentoring groups, journals, be strategic in regards to planning out your schedule, your life, get involved, and then Traction in the 12-Week Year are 2 books that L'Tryce also recommended. So these are just some ideas and resources, tools that you can put in your tool belt, because essentially as women in the industry, entrepreneurs, whatever your field may be, it is important that you have a tool belt, a group of people who you can actually call on. And so what has played a key part into your success?
I always have this really great story. So I was a high school dropout, and I started my career in water at the United States Bureau of Reclamation. It's a federal organization, as an intern and as a secretary. And at the time we were secretaries. And so I worked my way from a secretary to the mailroom to procurement, and was kind of like the office person, and everybody knew me in the office. And my goal when I was 21 was to be the head office person. But there was one gentleman, and he's passed away. His name was Jason Anderson. And he took me aside and said, I really think you should get out in the field. And I was like, me? Like, I like to wear high heels. I'm in a skirt. He was like, no. You're smart. I want you to put your boots on, get out there, ride in our field and water. It's like ride the ditches, get in the wells, get dirty. It's typically a male job, but I think you can do it. And that really changed my trajectory. People looked at me different. They were like, she can do it. Women can do it. And this was in the 90s. So it was a big deal to send out a young woman out into the field by herself and to check water gauges and things like that. So I got, basically what they would say, my hands were dirty, even though I didn't have a college degree at that time. And so it was the turning point in my career where I felt like, I got this, I can do it. And I earned what we would call like my stripes. And so, now I'm an executive, so I've gone back into an office space, but I always look at that opportunity that he gave me, that he saw something in me that I hadn't realized in myself. And it's one thing to have opportunity, but you've got to take the risks. So you also have to recognize that this was an opportunity that wasn't given to everybody or anybody before me. And when the door opened, I had to jump through it. And it wasn't like the greatest job. I was pretty isolated. It was dirty, but I put in my time. And so again, I earned the stripes. And I would say that was a meaningful transition in my career.
After completing law school, I moved to Birmingham, Alabama to work for a law firm for a year and a half. I came to work specifically on the largest environmental toxic torts case in history. I followed that case before it was a case in graduate school. It was just a horrific environmental issue. And when I worked for the law firm, and then when the case was over, my job was over, I was on unemployment. Had 4 degrees from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and it was an ego blow. I could not find a job, and that was the reason I started my own firm. It wasn't because I always dreamed of being an entrepreneur. It was the sheer fact of running from fear and trying to survive. And so when I started my business, a lot of people said, well, we need a good disadvantaged business that we can team with. And I was just asking for a job. I didn't want to be a disadvantaged business. I wanted to be able to have a 9-to-5, something I could count on. And so one of the things I want to put a pin in for ladies who are watching this is, you know, maybe others see more in you than you see in yourself. Don't be afraid to take the risk. And what happened is I began to believe in myself more. And even when I, met people who did not believe in me, it became, well, I'll show them. I cannot tell you how many times I've received no. Actually, I thrive off of no. And so sometimes you have to change no into a yes, and let people see the talent that you have and that you can continue to thrive. I've been in business now for 15 years. Each year is different. I can't say that it's gotten easier. This pandemic has definitely pulled out the best in me as far as survival mode. But if I would not have gone through the things that I've been through the last 15 years, I would not have been able to survive the pandemic that we're in right now. Because now I've added services. I've had to pivot my business and add selling PPE and doing professional remediation cleaning for COVID-19. So if you would have asked me 15 years ago, would I be selling products? The answer would be absolutely not. So do not be afraid to change when it's time to make changes in order for you to continue your trajectory of growth. Don't let anyone limit you, and don't limit yourself in your own mind.
I think there is a balance between taking obstacles and taking risks, because at least to me, when I was very young, when you don't know, you are not afraid of that. I grew up in a little town, and I went to a regional university, and at some point of my study, I got a scholarship to study 1 year in Europe. And I have never been in Santiago capital. So my first travel to Santiago was to go to the airport and then take an aircraft to land in Europe. So at that time, I didn't speak English or German. And after 1 semester, because it was very intensive in learning German, I was taking class in German. So I didn't realize that not know a language was an obstacle. I never think about that. I only think I need to learn, and then go to and attend that lecture. And that experience changed my life, because it was my first travel abroad and to all Europe culture and so on. So wow, for me was a realization time for many aspects. So again, it is a balance between what you see as an obstacle and also the way to take risk.
We thank you for your expertise, your openness. And it's not how you start. As long as you have breath in your body, you can still make a life. You can still accomplish your dreams and go after your goals. Kind of listening to the stories, I actually got pregnant at 16, and I was like, what do I do now? And I thought life was over. However, I can sit here before you today and say I now have a master's degree. I started my business, and I can teach other game changers and people who are looking to make an impact in the community how to do so. And so it doesn't matter what someone says, you have to be able to see the glimmer of hope in yourself to continue to push forward. And so as you experience challenges and obstacles, it just prepares you for the next step. And with every new level, comes, as they say, new devils or new obstacles and new challenges. So just be prepared and ready to make pivotal changes, especially if anything we have learned in the midst of this pandemic is life is uncertain. We can still make it. We can still keep going. However, we have to be able to make adjustments. Don't make excuses. I always say make adjustments. And so my last quote that I'm going to leave you guys with is, pressure makes diamonds, but understanding pressure is all on you. Sometimes we add on more pressure to ourselves and take things that sometimes we weren't meant to be a part of. And sometimes that pressure is used to release the best out of us. You have to determine and figure out what the pressure is. And so I want to thank you guys. I'm going to give you guys a round of applause for this moment and this opportunity, and I'm grateful. And so everyone have an amazing day.